What if I told you Loki became so powerful that he defeated an immortal king? A king controlled by Imu, with endless regeneration, and power that terrified even the giants of Elbaf. With the legendary devil fruit of Elbaf and a living weapon called Ragnir, Loki reached a level that looked completely unstoppable. And yet, one man still defeated him. Not with the devil fruit, not with immortality, but with Haki alone. This is how Shanks proved why Haki truly transcends everything. Welcome to Super Synth D Studio, where One Piece spoilers hit different. If you live for wild theories and hype breakdowns, hit that like button, drop a comment, give hype, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's dive in. One Piece. Chapter 1169 is officially titled, Have to Die as Soon as Possible. Once again, One Piece opens with a color spread, where Oda illustrates the Rock's pirates dressed in black suits. A total of 14 members of the Rock's pirates appear on the cover. Rock's D. Zebek, stroking a tiger. Newgate, Linlin, Kaido, Shiki, Stussy, Gloriosa, Stroizen, John, Marlin, Ochoku, Ganzui, Barbel, and Kyo. One Piece. Chapter 1169 continues the flashback. On the day of King Harald's death, the scene opens with Gaben and Shanks talking inside Gaben's home, a direct continuation of the scene we saw back in Chapter 1152. Gaben tells Shanks that he met Garp and learned from him that Roger had a son. Now, Gaben passes that information on to Shanks. Shanks reacts, saying, "Oh, then the captain's son would be like my own little brother." "Yes, just like how you and Buggy were our kids," Gaben replies. The scene shifts to Aura's castle. Harald begins moving on his own, killing the giant royal guards, who were carrying chains meant to bind him to a pillar. Harald realizes that Imu's control doesn't just affect his body. His mind and thoughts are also being altered. To match Imu's will, Harald orders all the giant royal guards to kill him. At that moment, Loki and Jarul enter the throne room. Just as the royal guards stab Harald, the same scene we previously saw in Chapter 1152. However, thanks to his immortality, Harald recovers instantly. He then begins slaughtering the giants, while releasing overwhelming Haki on a massive scale. The scene cuts back to Gaban's house. Shanks explains to Gaban how the contract works, while showing the mark on his left arm. Shanks says, "Harald and I formed a shallow covenant with an entity called the Great One in the Holy Land. But even with just a shallow covenant, if I'm within the range of their power, I can't resist their commands at all." Gaben responds by saying that the power possessed by that entity is truly unnatural. Shanks then explains that he revealed his true identity to Harald when they were together far away from Mary Jouise, and that's how they became friends. We see a panel from that moment, with Harald saying to Shanks, "I knew it. You're from the red-haired pirates, right?" Shanks continues, Harald believed that if he joined the God Knights, Elbaf would finally be accepted as a nation affiliated with the world government. But that also meant Harald would have to sign a higher-level contract. And would that be a problem? Gaben asks, Shanks answers. By forming that new contract, the God Knights gain superhuman power and immortal bodies. They're also granted the ability to create an abyss, allowing them to traverse vast distances instantly. In exchange, the voice of the Great One will follow them to the ends of the world. No matter where they are, they will never be able to resist its commands. Harald would no longer be able to refuse them. And honestly, I highly doubt those greedy people will actually keep their promises in the end. Interesting. Shanks knows the details of Imu's contracts far too well. He understands the power granted by the Covenant, and even its negative side effects, with incredible precision. Those who form a contract with Imu are completely unable to refuse any command given to them. So where did Shanks learn all of this? It's obvious. Shanks learned everything from Shamrock, back in Mary Jouise. Shamrock clearly showed a deep level of concern for Shanks. On top of that, Shanks only knows the details of the Shallow Sea Covenant and the Deep Sea Covenant. He doesn't know the full details of the Abyssal Covenant And that makes sense, because Shamrock himself has only reached the Deep Sea Covenant stage. So does this mean Shamrock has secretly been on Shanks' side all along? And in the end, will he betray Imu and the world government? Interesting. Suddenly, Shanks and Gaben sense a terrifying wave of Haki coming straight from Aura's castle. Inside the throne room, Loki and Jarl are restraining Harald on the floor. Harald confesses to Loki, Jarl, and the giant royal guards that he has been doing the dirty work for the world government. But now he realizes that Imu has completely deceived him. Harald orders Jarl to give the legendary devil fruit to Loki, because he believes that even Loki would still be unable to defeat him after receiving the power boost granted by Imu. Then Harald speaks to his son through tears, shouting, "I must die as soon as possible. Do it, and then take the throne, Loki, and then tell the people just how foolish a king like me truly was. Use my death to build your own reputation. I don't care what people say about me after I'm dead. What matters most is the future of Elbaf. You understand that, right?" Loki responds in shock. I don't even have words." Harald continues, "I'm begging you, Loki. You're the only one I can rely on." After entrusting everything to Loki, Imu's influence intensifies, and Harald's mind changes completely. Harald does not turn into a monster. Instead, Imu takes full control of Harald's body. In a stunning double-page spread, Harald begins slaughtering all of the giant royal guards. He orders the guards outside the throne room to immediately seal every door, claiming that there is a criminal inside the castle. A royal guard giant stabs Harald straight through the neck, yet Harald instantly regenerates. "How dare you? You're no longer our king, Harald," the giant shouts. Harald responds calmly, "Don't be ridiculous. I am still Harald, but now I am the loyal servant of the Great One. No one will survive. I will not allow a single word about what happened in this castle to ever leave this place." Loki sprints toward the treasure room. Harald declares that he himself will eat the legendary devil fruit and then hand Elbaf over to Imu. Jarl attacks Harald in an attempt to stop him, shouting that if Harald eats that devil fruit, the world itself will end. At that very moment, Jarl is stabbed directly through the head. Shanks and Gaben arrive at Aura's castle and launch an attack on Harald. But once again, Harald regenerates instantly. Harald laughs and says, "Shanks, this immortal body, it's incredible. I can feel my superiority as a living being." Shanks shouts in frustration, "Damn it, is there really no way to cancel his command?" At the end of the chapter, Loki arrives at the treasure room. He unlocks the chains and opens the door. Inside, Loki sees a treasure box containing Elbaf's legendary devil fruit, and behind it, the hammer known as Ragnir. But something feels off, because Ragnir appears to move slightly on its own. Loki says, "So this is the forbidden devil fruit, passed down through Elbaf? Huh?" The chapter ends with Ragnir suddenly moving on its own and launching an attack at Loki, which Loki barely manages to dodge. A strange voice echoes, "Ge-ge-ge-ge! Wah! Who the hell is that?" Loki shouts. It is now crystal clear that the voice was coming from the hammer Ragnir. Ragnir can move as if it has a will of its own, and the hammer can even speak. That means the hammer Ragnir is a weapon that has eaten a devil fruit. The only type of devil fruit that can be fused with a weapon is a zone-type devil fruit. We still don't know which zone devil fruit Ragnir possesses, but one thing is absolutely important. When Loki swings Ragnir, lightning instantly strikes along with his attack. There's something very interesting here. There are several cases where the name of a devil fruit is closely related to the user's signature laughter. In this case, Ragnir's laughter sounds like ge-ge-ge-ge. There is a manga titled Ge-ge-ge-ge no Kitaro, which tells the story of a yokai boy whose signature ability is launching lightning attacks from his hair. So, is all of this just a coincidence? Well, on top of that, it is already very clear that Loki has also eaten the legendary devil fruit that has been guarded and passed down for generations. by the giants of Elbaf. This is proven by the fact that Loki is now chained in the underworld, using sea stone handcuffs, which indirectly means that Loki possesses two devil fruit powers. First, the legendary devil fruit he personally consumed, and second, the devil fruit power embedded within the hammer Ragnir. These two legendary powers of Elbaf are what allowed Loki to defeat King Harald, even though Harald was already under Imu's control and possessed immortality and limitless regeneration. That means the legendary devil fruit of Elbaf played an enormous role in defeating Harald. So the big question is, what exactly is this legendary devil fruit of Elbaf? Write your opinions and theories in the comments section. From all the insane hype surrounding Loki in chapter 1169, do not forget about Shanks, who successfully defeated Loki, even after Loki had eaten the legendary devil fruit and was wielding the hammer Ragnir. Never underestimate the devil fruit Loki consumed, because even Jarl stated that if Harald, already controlled by Imu, were to eat it, the entire world would surely be destroyed by his hands. Even Gaben himself acknowledged Loki's power, saying that so far only Shanks has been able to defeat Loki. It is now very clear that Shanks defeated Loki by relying on his Haki, especially his Conqueror's Haki. We have already seen just how terrifying Shanks Conqueror's Haki truly is. Shanks can use advanced Conqueror's Haki, and he defeated Eustace Captain Kidd, who had a 3 billion berry bounty, with a single slash. Then, in Wano, Shanks released his Conqueror's Haki from an extreme distance to intimidate Admiral Greenbull. Not only that, Shanks Conqueror's Haki was powerful enough to neutralize Greenbull's devil fruit powers, forcing him back into his human form. Yes, just like Joyboy's Conqueror's Haki, which was capable of neutralizing the devil fruit powers granted by Imu to the Gorosei. And this is how Shanks was able to defeat Loki. Remember Kaido's words: Haki transcends all. Haki surpasses everything. Any attack, whether physical or devil fruit-based, is ineffective against someone with overwhelming Conqueror's Haki. So does this mean Shanks' Haki is already equal to Joyboy's? Not yet, because Joyboy's strongest Haki, released through Emeth, only targeted enemies. It had no effect on the Straw Hat crew or the giants of Elbaf. Shanks is different. In Wano, the explosion of Shanks' Haoshoku Haki still affected his own allies. Even the weakest members of his crew were knocked unconscious by the sheer pressure of Shanks' Haki. That means Shanks has not yet reached Joyboy's level, but he is very close, and soon Shanks may stand equal to that legendary figure if he can further master his advanced Conqueror's Haki. So now the real question is this: if Loki, wielding two legendary powers, could bring down an immortal Harald, and Shanks still defeated that version of Loki, then how close is Shanks really to Joyboy's level? And more importantly, what exactly is the true nature of Elbaf's legendary devil fruit? Drop your theories in the comments. I want to see your wildest takes. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button to show your Haki, subscribe for more One Piece spoilers that hit different, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. This is Super Synth D Studio, and I'll see you in the next chapter.